Hello. So I'm going to show you how to do vibrato on the bass. It is pretty similar to cello vibrato, but the beginning stages is a little bit different because for cello we use the shoulders as a guide for our motion, but the shoulders on the bass are more slanted than the cello. The cello is more round, like a violin and viola. But because bass is the way it is, they're slanted so that way it's easier to shift up higher because basses have to shift a lot more than anybody else. So the physical barrier or whatever that I have everyone else use as a guide is not as relevant or helpful for bass. But the motion itself is still going to be the same. So we start with our left thumb, our thumbprint, going in the curve of the neck. Okay, so we're shifting way up here where your thumb just kind of naturally is going to sit in that curve. And then we're going to pick a finger to start with, probably not your pinky. I usually start with second finger. It's just my go-to, but you can use whichever one you want. And you're going to put it down kind of where it naturally falls in that position on your G string. Okay, I would do it on the highest string. I feel like it's going to be easier. So that's getting my second finger on D, but it doesn't really matter if it's on a real note or not for this. Intonation is not the focus. So if it's on a real note, cool. If it's not, then whatever. Okay, so for cellos, the way I mentioned it was to have this part of their hand underneath the pinky was going to touch the shoulder. Now, if I had you guys do that, like, you'd have to like be really weird, like this really crazy motion because the shoulder is so much lower for the bass. So you're going to still do the same motion, you're just not going to have something to hit. Okay, so you want to make sure that your elbow is up. Okay, if your elbow is down like this, you're going to do some weird version of vibrato and it's not going to be appropriate for the bass. So elbow has to be up and you're going to rotate like this. Okay, so the whole forearm is rotating. Okay, so your finger is going to be nice and curved, and then when you roll your hand back, your finger is going to kind of pivot a little bit. It's not sliding. Okay, it's maintaining one spot, but it's going to be like upright and curved, and then kind of lean back when you do the motion. And the motion should be like this. Okay, kind of like you're turning a doorknob. Or if you had a watch on, that you would be like turning your arm to see what time it is. Okay, and I forgot my watch today. I have a Fitbit, and so whenever I turn my wrist to look, the screen will flash on. So that's kind of a nice tip for me because then I can, every time that my screen turns on, like I know I'm doing the motion right. Okay, so that is the general motion for bass vibrato. Okay, so this is arm vibrato. Now, when you feel like the motion is relatively solid, okay, and consistent, you want to add the bow in, at least for a moment, to make sure that you hear a pitch change. Okay, because if you don't hear a pitch change, then you're not doing vibrato. That's the whole point of vibrato. Okay, so you start with your nice upright position, where in theory your hand would be touching the shoulder, but it's not, because you can't. So you'd start there and then go back. So. Okay, so you're ba. Okay, so you can hear that there is some change there. Okay, you want to make sure it's pretty obvious, a pretty obvious change. Okay, if it sounds too subtle or you don't hear it at all, then you need to reevaluate the motion that you're doing. Okay, because you want to make sure that you hear something. You don't want to put forth all the work of the motion and not have anything to show for it. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this up just a little bit here, so maybe you can get a little closer look of what I'm doing. Okay, so this is better. So thumb is in the curve, so you're gonna have this kind of motion, okay? You can change up the finger if you want to, if your fingertip is hurting or something like that. I'm not used to playing a bass, so my fingertip feels a little funny. And you don't really use third finger a whole lot right now, but so you could just use your pinky. Pinky, people usually feels a little bit more uncomfortable. You could potentially put 3 and 4 down together to give your pinky some more strength, but that might make it feel more challenging to get the motion potentially. So slow practice. I recommend having a metronome set to quarter note equals 50. So you'd start with the quarter note going like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then eighth notes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then triplets, triplet, 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 and then 16th notes 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and then sextuplets, which is 2 groups of 2 groups of triplets. Going triplet, 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 and then you just speed it up just a little more, and then you have vibrato. Okay, so it takes some practice. I highly recommend that every time that you practice vibrato for about a minute, and then you do whatever else you're planning on practicing that day, and then end your practice session with another minute of vibrato. If you do that, you're going to get a lot more practice in, and you're going to get that routine practice in, so you will probably get better faster with your vibrato. If you never practice it, it's never going to get better, and you're going to be stuck in this weird wobble kind of vibrato for a long time, and then it's not really going to be appropriate to actually use in a piece of music because it's going to be way too wobbly and weird. Okay, so practice, and it will be good. Good luck.